Today's top stories. A historic visit. Chinese President Xi Jinping arrives in the Philippines for his two-day state visit. Mislatel is officially declared the country's third major telco player. Malacanang assures NDF leader Luis Jalandoni will not be arrested during the resumption of peace talks. And fishermen in Mindoro seek to declare the province as the tuna sport fishing capital.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Chinese President Xi Jinping arrived today in the Philippines upon the invitation of President Rodrigo Duterte. The two-day state visit happens as Xi expresses efforts to elevate ties between Manila and Beijing. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
President Rodrigo Duterte welcomed Chinese President Xi Jinping and his delegation in Malacanang on Tuesday afternoon, the very first state visit to be made by a Chinese president in over a decade. President Duterte and President Xi attended the customary welcome ceremony at Kalayaan Grounds in Malacanang. During the welcome ceremony, the national anthems of the Philippines and China were played and a 21-gun salute was rendered. In his welcome remarks, the president described Xi's visit as more than a reciprocal visit, but a historic occasion. Duterte said Xi's visit is a landmark moment in the shared history of the Philippines and China and expressed readiness to write a new chapter of openness and cooperation. Xi, for his part, thanked the president for the warm hospitality shown by a welcoming crowd, including students waving flags of both Philippines and China. He described the relationship between China and the Philippines as a refreshing breeze in the northern part of the globe. The two leaders then proceeded to the expanded bilateral meeting at the Malacanang Reception Hall. President Duterte and President Xi have met 6 times over the past 2 years since the former took office. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Malacanang is questioning the timing of the release of an SWS survey showing the distrust of Filipinos towards China. The SWS survey showed that 84% of Filipinos oppose the government's alleged inaction on China's military encroachment in the West Philippine Sea. The result was made public on the day of Chinese President Xi Jinping's first state visit to the Philippines. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo to the belief that polling firms could be used for partisan purposes. Panelo also expressed concerns on the supposed flawed questionnaire, which misleads the public to believe that the current government has not acted on China's activities. He says that, in fact, the administration has been consistent on its stance in protecting the country's territorial claims and maritime entitlements. The Philippine National Police, or PNP, has welcomed the visit of Moro Islamic Liberation Front Chair Al-Hajj Murad Ibrahim to the headquarters of the Armed Forces of the Philippines on Monday. PNP spokesperson Benigno Durana notes that Murad visited to collaborate to ensure the holding of the Bangsamoro plebiscite will be peaceful and orderly. Durana says the PNP will be involved in the creation of joint peace and security teams, which will address security issues. For his part, AFP Chief of Staff General Carlito Galvez Jr. said the visit of Murad and his party to Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City highlights the strong trust and confidence of the MILF leadership to the AFP and the national government. Murad's visit reciprocates earlier visit of Galvez and ranking military officials to the MILF's camp in Maguindanao, where they both declared the end of the war between the AFP and the MILF. The National Bureau of Investigation has recommended the prosecution of 3 Boracay resort owners and several local officials. The NBI Task Force Boracay recommended charges against officials of Kingfisher's Farm, Sky Garden de Boracay, and Playa Asia Resort Incorporated. Among those named in the charges is a second cousin of former President Benigno Aquino III. Ramon Coanco Jr. and Maria Teresa Coanco were named in their capacity as president and treasurer of Playa Asia Resort and stockholders of parent company Gorgeous Holdings. Likewise named are former Malay Town Mayor John Yap, incumbent Mayor Ceciron Kawaling, and several municipal officials. The charges include graft, violation of tax declaration of real property, violation of license agreements, unlawful occupation or destruction of forest lands, and violation of tax declaration of real property. The House removes a party list lawmaker from Congress, and 20 custom officials file their courtesy resignation. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondok.
The House of Representatives on Monday afternoon removed ABS party list Representative Eugene De Vera as a member of Congress. Majority Leader Rolando Andaya Jr. says De Vera has been expelled as a member of the party list. The ABS party list named second nominee Ulysses Garces as its representative replacing De Vera. De Vera has contested the House manifestation. Meanwhile, Malacanang denies that National Democratic Front of the Philippines leader Luis Jalandoni will be arrested should peace talks resume. This as Jalandoni canceled his trip back to the Philippines, claiming he would be arrested. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo and Presidential Peace Advisor Jesus Dureza were supposed to meet with Jalandoni and his colleague Fidel Agkawili in an informal chat. Panelo says Jalandoni's fear of arrest did not mean the informal talks were cancelled. In other news, some 20 customs officials submitted their courtesy resignations to Commissioner Ray Leonardo Guerrero. BOC spokesperson Erasto Sandino Austria said this move is a standard procedure in any government agency to give a new head free rein to select one subordinates. Austria added the officials submitted their resignation since Guerrero assumed office late last month. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
Still to come, Mislatel is officially declared as the country's third major telco player. Oil firms roll back fuel prices for the sixth time in a row. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
First 8 months, January to August. No? So, kung kukumpara mo yung pagpasok ng foreign direct investment nitong January to August this year sa last year's January to August 2017, 31%. Ganong kalaki ang pagpasok. Pero dapat mo malaman na yung last year was the record breaking yun, 10 billion. So, napakataas na ng last year. So, mas mataas pa tayo ngayon kaysa sa last year. No? So, kung, for example, to give you perspective, in 2011, $2 billion lang pumasok ng foreign direct investment sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, nasa 10 billion na tayo. China, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, at saka US. Yun ang mga major foreign direct investors. Yung ginagawa namin na ngayon na nire-reduce namin ng underspending ay nagbibigay din ng kumpiyansa sa not only to our people but also to the international community na mas mabilis ngayon magawa yung mga proyekto. No? Kasi for example, noong 2014 and 2015, maraming pera na inallocate ng Congress na hindi naman nagastos. If I remember right, mga umabot ng 631 billion pesos, hindi nagastos. Ang impact nitong foreign direct investment ay talagang may kumpiyansa ang mga foreign investors na maganda ang ating ekonomiya long term. So kaya nga silang tayo ng mga factories dito, nag-hire ng Filipino workers kasi nakikita nila na gaganda ang Pilipinas, ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas, not only this year but for the next siguro 10 years.
The National Telecommunications Commission has formally confirmed Mislatel Consortium as the new major player in the country's telco industry. The joint venture of Udena Corporation and China Telecom passed the document verification phase that merited the final confirmation from the NTC and Bank. DICT Acting Secretary Eliseo Rio Jr. says he expects the new major player to deliver on its commitments through establishing partnerships with small players. Mislatel has committed to provide internet speeds of 55 Mbps and use 5G technology made ready within 2 years. The consortium, meanwhile, says it expects to be able to start its commercial operations within a year and a half. Pump prices went down today for the 6th straight week. Local oil firms reduced prices of unleaded gasoline, diesel, and kerosene Tuesday morning. Industry spokespersons say the consumer favorable trend in the world market today is reflected in the gradual decline of the various oil indices. Oil monitoring of the Energy Department noted that Dubai crude declined by almost $4 per barrel week on week as of November 14. The DOE also notes that the Asian gasoline market is currently weak, yet continues to have excess supply. Philippine and Japanese officials are meeting tomorrow to discuss the progress of ongoing infrastructure projects under the administration. More on this from Miguel Hill.
Philippine and Japanese officials will hold their 6th meeting on infrastructure and economic cooperation this Wednesday in Manila. They will discuss the processing of new concessional loan agreements that would provide the Duterte administration's Build, Build, Build program with additional financing support from Japan. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III will chair the Philippine side in the 6th meeting of the Philippine-Japan High-Level Joint Committee on Infrastructure Development and Economic Cooperation. The Japanese side will be led by Dr. Hiroto Izumi, who is Special Advisor to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Since its first meeting in March last year, the Joint Committee has made substantial progress in expediting the processing of approvals for Japanese loans for projects under President Rodrigo Duterte's Build, Build, Build. The latest agreement on the rehabilitation of the decrepit MRT-3 was processed in less than 3 months. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
15 trainees from Ilocos Norte graduated from a 9-week blended learning on digital marketing and e-commerce. The training course is part of the Department of Information and Communication Technology's Rural Impact Sourcing Technical Training Program. The training not only benefited the trainees but also their partner businesses. OIC Division Chief Emmy Lu Delfin says the program aims to develop and increase the ICT technical skills of the trainees and create ICT-enabled jobs in rural areas. The first year of implementation of the program in 2017 resulted in 600 graduates. The local government of Iloilo City investigates its power supply issues. Meanwhile, rebels burned down a daycare center in North Cotabato. More on these stories from the provinces from Benj Bondong.
A crisis management team will be created by the Iloilo City government to look into issues affecting the city's power distribution. This is in anticipation of the expiration of the franchise of the Panay Electric Company next year and the entry of the More Electric and Power Corporation as a new player. The crisis team will study how to prepare all sectors in case of power disruption, as the city does not have the capacity to distribute power. Meanwhile, police condemned the recent burning of a daycare center by suspected communist rebels in the North Cotabato town of Magpet. About 25 alleged members of the New People's Army, disguised as fatigue-wearing government soldiers, attacked the village of Mahongkog, Magpet on Thursday last week. The group reportedly demanded revolutionary tax amounting to 50,000 pesos from the village officials. PRO 12 Director Eliseo Tamrasco says the attack was a clear proof that the NPA is a terrorist organization. In other news, South Korea has turned over 12 patrol cars and 2 patrol vans to the Davao City Police Office. The patrol cars are GPS ready and linked to Davao Central 911. The 12 cars are a portion of the 100 vehicles pledged to the Philippine National Police apart from the 100 patrol motorcycles that will be turned over next year. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Up next, the PCOO seeks more engagement between the Philippine and Chinese media. And fishermen in Mindoro seek to declare the province as the tuna sport fishing capital. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, is seeking to send more Filipino media practitioners to Beijing to further deepen their understanding of China and learn from their technology. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar says China is ahead of the competition in terms of the technology and technique. Andanar said the Chinese Government Communications Office has already invited reporters and editors from both private and public sectors. He also recognized the partnership of some media organizations such as Radio Pilipinas and China Radio International. In our foreign news, the Korean Unification Ministry is optimistic that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un would push through with his visit to Seoul this year. In a September summit in Pyongyang, Kim promised to visit South Korea at an early date. However, denuclearization talks between the U.S. and North Korea were stalled, along with major cooperative projects as two Koreans agreed to launch before the end of this year. Washington and Pyongyang are pushing to rearrange their recently canceled high-level talks in preparation for a possible second summit. The ministry has expressed hope that progress in denuclearization talks could help speed up the peace process on the Korean peninsula. Gilas Pilipinas is playing with Jordan and Lebanon as it prepares for the fifth window of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. This as Coach Yeng Guiao announced the start of the daily practice sessions of the national team last Sunday night at the Meralco Gym. Guiao says the 2 matches with Lebanon and Jordan will help Gilas to get into a competitive mindset. The Gilas pool was almost at full strength as they resumed practice. Japeth Aguilar, Greg Slaughter, L.A. Tenorio, and Scotty Thompson took part in the session after Barangay took a bow in the PBA Governors Cup semifinals. Paul Lee of the Magnolia Hotshots, which ousted Ginebra, attended the session as an observer. Locals are taking advantage of Mindoro's bountiful seas for visitors to try out sport fishing. They hope to promote Mindoro as a tourist destination for those who want to experience catching tuna. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
Mindoro is the gateway for many tourists to Pandan Island and Apple Reef. Known for their outstanding marine life and coral reefs are Puerto Galera and its pristine beaches and lush forests. But there are those who come to Mindoro to seek out a different thrill, catching yellowfin tuna, hailed as the new gold of the sea. Already established as a source of livelihood for the island, fisher folks in Occidental Mindoro are keen to market a brimming supply of tuna for sport fishing. Yellowfin fishing has been a booming industry for Occidental Mindoro for the past years. The pelagic fishes, mostly caught in the coastal waters of Mindanao, are now thriving in the Mindoro Strait. What makes Mindoro tuna special is its freshness, given the distance from the fishing grounds to the port. On November 8, San Jose Occidental Mindoro hosted the third Philippine Tuna Biggest Catch Challenge, Mindoro Strait Edition. The event coincided with the Arawatan and the Memorapa Festival, where contingents from Occidental and Oriental Mindoro, Romblon, Marinduque, and Palawan participated in the street dancing parade and trade fair. The Occidental Mindoro Federation of Tuna Fishers Association already got the nod of the Department of Tourism in promoting the sport fishing event. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories.
A historic visit. Chinese President Xi Jinping arrives in the Philippines for his two-day state visit. Mislatel is officially declared the country's third major telco player. Malacanang assures NDF leader Luis Jalandoni will not be arrested during the resumption of peace talks. And fishermen in Mindoro seek to declare the province as the tuna sport fishing capital.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And it is 35 days before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.